Hallo liebe Montenegro-Freunde, herzlich willkommen zu unserer Live-Sendung. Herzlich willkommen bei Michaels Urlaubstv. Ich hoffe, es geht euch gut. Wir senden heute live aus Stari Bar, wir senden live aus der Altstadt von Bar und wir befinden uns im Restaurant Stara Čaršija. Das ist ein Teil der Altstadt, das ist der alte Glockenturm Kukalj. Wir haben die ganzen Kanäle unserer Partner zusammengeschaltet und senden gleichzeitig auf all diesen Kanälen zusammen. Hallo liebe Montenegro-Freunde, wir sind zurück bei Michaels Live-TV mit unserem ersten Interviewpartner. Neben mir sitzt Emil Kukalj, Leiter der Tourismusorganisation von Bar. Herzlich willkommen Emil and welcome to our live show.
It's my pleasure.
But first let us order some coffee so that we can we have some coffee please? So, das hier, ich muss das jetzt auch ein bisschen zweisprachig machen. Das ist also Original Kaffee, wie er hier in Montenegro gemacht wird, okay. in diesen kleinen Schälchen. Hier nennt sich Filtern-Kaffee und wird dann, genau, damit es da jetzt nicht schief geht. Genau, so funktioniert das, richtig, genau. Super. Ja. Das sieht gut aus. Okay, so now we have coffee. I think now it's everything we're going better. Okay, Emil, we are sitting in Stari Bar in the old town of Bar. This is a place full of history, of course. And what is special for this old town, and why is it different from other old towns in Montenegro, like for example Budva or Kotor?
Well, yes, Michel, like you said, it's one of the most important cultural monuments in Bar. It's the old town of Bar. We call it Montenegrin Pompeii because it was destroyed so many times in the past, but now it's one of the main touristic attractions here in Montenegro as well. Why it's different? Well, first difference is that its location. It's situated 5 kilometers inland from the shore. All the other old towns in Montenegro are situated exactly on the shore.
Yes.
This one is situated 5 kilometers inland. On the other hand side, why is different? Because here you have traces of different periods, from different periods of time. We have periods of Ottomans, of Venetians, and they have all left traces in the architecture. Finally, the town was liberated from the Ottomans in 1878, and by that time it was destroyed. We now see the remains of the old town of Bar, but so many buildings are now reconstructed, renovated, and Stari Bar is now welcoming more and more tourists from all over the world. We see a lot of tourists last year. Unfortunately, this year with coronavirus, we could not expect more, but we see that tourism is very resilient, and I think that we will definitely have tourists that will visit Old Town Bar in near future.
And of course, the food, which we can show you something now in the moment. Just go to the Roštilja, so you can see we are already preparing. You see how they prepare the food, and this we will show you after the interview in detail, because that's I think also a special thing here of Bar when it's come to the food.
Exactly. Yeah.
Okay.
We have different kind of food.
Yes.
Like we have different traces in history, in culture. We have all these people that were here. They left traces also in cuisine.
Yes.
And it's definitely a mix of East and West, and it's very delicious food.
Great. So before some weeks we made the first virtual tour on Lake Skadar, which was very successful. Today we will show our people the fantastic old town of Bar, also with a virtual tour. Do you think that this kind of, let's say, tourism is this tourism what we will have in the near future? So will people, especially when they come from far away, maybe travel virtually in this way?
Well, to be honest, probably they will get more information online through these virtual tours, but we expect them to come to the destination and to experience the destination. It is a good way to show them what we have, to give them an overview of the destination, to give them a clue and to give them most important information about the destination itself. But we would like to welcome tourists here in Bar, because in tourism what's important is the experience. Yes, like you said, Skadar Lake tour was a successful tour. We had plenty of guests, virtual guests, who visited Skadar Lake. We are keeping our promise, and we are now making this tour, live tour of Old Town of Bar. And for me, it's very important to say that Bar is a coastal town. Bar, most of tourists comes for the summer vacation, for the beautiful beaches, but Bar is not only beaches. Like I said, we have beautiful mountains, we have beautiful hiking paths, biking trails as well, possibility to do active holidays, but also on the other side of the mountain we have beautiful Skadar Lake National Park. It's ideal for bird watching and all other active holidays, and also to enjoy the beautiful nature.
Yeah, exactly. So this is bringing us directly to the next question, because referring to the Montenegrin strategy, tourism, the tourists from Germany, or let's say from the German-speaking market, have highest priority for Montenegro. So why should people from Germany exactly now come to Bar, and what can they expect here? And is Bar well prepared for German tourists?
Yes, Germans are, like the German outbound market is very important for Montenegro. It's one of the top priority markets, and we are prepared in one part of our tourism offer. Of course, there are a lot of things that need to be improved, but our quality of the tourist product is very good. Based on the survey that we conducted last year, we examined a lot of tourists, and they all said that they're really satisfied with the ratio of the quality and the prices in the destination. Especially kindness of people, people who are actually working in tourism, they're very kind and gentle, and they definitely say that are very satisfied with the tourist offer here in Bar. I would like also to stress one other thing is the sense of security of the tourists in Bar is very high. So tourists who spent their holidays in Bar, they said they're very safe, and they think it's a very safe and secure destination. Nowadays, with the coronavirus, we must say also that we are a safe destination, one of the safest destinations in the world, because Montenegro is a corona-free destination, and it's one of the first destination that is corona-free in Europe, and I think it's definitely something that makes stay in Bar and in Montenegro definitely safe, as a safe place.
Yeah.
And I think it's definitely going to be one of the key things in near future when we speak about tourism, and of course when we speak about quality of tourist offer, it's also on a high level. So yeah. I think that tourists from Germany can be really well. They're definitely welcome here as a tourist, not only from Germany but yeah. from all other source markets as well. Of course.
So the message is pack everything in the coffer, in the luggage and start. So we are ready.
Definitely. We are ready.
So, also ganz kurz auch nochmal für die deutschen Zuschauer: Koffer packen, losfahren. Wir sind bereit, wir sind hier, wir haben Kapazitäten. Anreise ist kein Problem, Corona ist kein Problem. Also was kann es eigentlich jetzt Einfacheres geben? Also ich stehe jetzt hier an dem Grill und ich kann euch also wirklich sagen, das sieht ganz hervorragend aus. Wahnsinn. Samo recite meni što imamo sad ovdje.
Počnemo ili ja.
Da.
Miješani ražnjić koji ide pileći file i meso bisteka marinirano. Imamo domaći ćevap, proizvodnja domaća iz Novog polja.
Znači ćevapi, ok. A ovo?
Ražnjić koji je mariniran u jogurtu.
Marinierter Spieß mit Zwiebel in Joghurt. Super. A sad može, da, hoćemo naravno. So, wir sind zurück mit der Info-Ecke und fangen da erstmal an mit der Wettervorhersage. Ihr seht unsere Kamera bei uns oben auf dem Dach, wie bekannt, und das Wetter ist natürlich auch heute wunderbar. Ein schöner sonniger Tag mit allem drum und dran, und Jetzt zeige ich euch mal noch die Vorhersage vom Hydrometeorologischen Institut. Ihr seht also, die Temperaturen für die kommenden Tage sind auch mehr wie gut. Wir liegen also zwischen 17 und 23 Grad bzw. 24 und 27 Grad im Innern des Landes bzw. an der Küste. Auch das Wasser hat mittlerweile Temperatur erreicht. Wir sind bei 21 Grad Wassertemperatur, also durchaus auch schon Baden in der Adria möglich. So, schauen wir uns mal die aktuellen Benzinpreise an. Da ist es ein klein bisschen teurer geworden. Super 95 liegt bei 1,05 Euro, Super 98 bei 1,09 Euro und der Diesel bei 94 Cent.
When you come in our city, do not miss to visit one of our tourist symbols, Old Town Bar. Built on a hill 2000 years ago, it is one of the biggest attractions absolutely for our city and for visitors from all over the world. For example, this is the outdoor theater that we use during the summer mostly for theater plays, some cultural events, etc. And this building dates from 15th century. At first, that was a custom house during the Venetians, where the taxes were levied on the goods of that period. But today is a museum with exhibitions. Now we are standing in front of remains of big monastery complex of St. Nicholas. That was a Franciscan monastery built in 13th century. I'm not sure if you can imagine the size of this. Unfortunately, in this city happened 2 explosions, so that's the reason why this monastery today looks like this, ruined. You can see 2 frescoes that still exist, frescoes of St. Nicholas and St. Mark that belonged to that Franciscan monastery of St. Nicholas. So typical for middle-aged cities. This is the citadel of the town. Actually, that was a military defense system with garrisons, with prisons, and belonged to army and protected and defended the north side of the city. So as I said, built on hill, protected and by these mountains around and close to the seashore. It's our biggest attraction, it's our pride actually. So the citadel is at the highest point of the town. The top is about 150 meters of the altitude. So we had completely inhabited town. Also behind the citadel of the city is the aqueduct. That's one very interesting building built during the Ottomans. This was one interesting building. That was the powder magazine during the Ottomans. Now we'll pass through gate, one of first gates in the city, built even during the period of Byzantine ruling in 11th century, but it's restored later. This was the first border of the city. Later, in a period of Venetians in 14th century, the city is expanded to the today borders. We are in one small and beautiful square where you can see the church. Today only one Orthodox church in city, Church of St. John Baptist, that dates also from 13th century, but it's restored in 1927. And now one of the most representative buildings of Ottoman Empire, Turkish bath, so-called hammam. Hammam consisted 3 rooms. This one, at first sight, that was a room for preparation before a bath. Then they had a room used like toilet and the main room for bath. So you can hear the sound and you can imagine how that looked like. But this is the way how that worked. Behind this room is also one room for heating by fire. They heated this room and that's how they had their bath. And as you can see, here is the dome, typical in a typical Oriental style for light. So you could hear many sounds around. That's like some song of bugs, bees and birds. So I think in this tone, plants perfectly make some composition and combination. Now you will see another church, one of the biggest in the city. This church of Saint Veneranda was built in 14th century. It's also restored, but we can use it for some exhibitions, for example. This place is one of the most important places in city in historical and archaeological sense. Actually, on this place was built first church, first basilica in 6th century, Church of St. Theodore. We cannot see now the foundations of that church, but later, in late 11th century, was built a huge cathedral of St. George. In that cathedral was crowned first king of Montenegro, but in that period Montenegro was called Duklja, and Vojslavljević was the first dynasty that ruled here. So first Slavic king was crowned here. We mentioned explosions, so this place happened first in 1881, explosion of powder, and that's how this big part of the city was destroyed. Also, you can see from here the cisterns for water. That was the solution that I mentioned before, the aqueduct for collecting water. And our beautiful panorama. Panoramic view on one part of Bar, city of Bar. You can see the small part of port here, and now you can imagine the position. It's totally atypical for middle-aged cities that were built at the seashore exactly. But from here, behind this hill was hidden and protected from that side, and also I mentioned the mountains from the north side. And olives, also one of symbols of our city. Many olive trees are one big important symbol of the city. Like from here, you cannot see the place where is the oldest olive tree, but it's very near. So in front of you is another church, St. Catherine's Church, this time from 14th century. This is one very interesting and rare church for that period, built over this archway, small but tall church. And behind the church is the clock tower, one representative point and typical for middle-aged towns, but at first was like a guardian tower built during the Venetians, and later it's restored with this clock tower that shows correct time.